video, we're going to take our cube in Blender and make it into a character. Then we will UV unwrap it, texture it, export it as an FBX file so that we can upload to mixer mode to rig it. Then we can bring the rigged character back into Blender, do the animation, and then take the animation into Godot where it can become part of our game. Are you ready to begin? Let's go. First thing we're going to do is I'm going to get the camera into the X position so that we are doing everything orthogonally. Then I'm going to set up symmetry with the default cube here. I'll go to edit mode and then choose face mode. I'm just going to delete this face in the middle, we don't need it. And then what we'll do is we want to set up symmetry where this 3D cursor is. So I'm going to go back to object mode, and then I can go to the modifiers, and then I'm going to choose generate and mirror, and let's mirror in the y-axis. Oh, and you'll notice that when we do that, we're not seeing the other side of the cube because we have to let Blender know that the symmetry, the line of symmetry, is actually where this 3D cursor is. So I'm going to right click and then choose set origin to the 3D cursor, and now we'll see that we have symmetry in the mirror happening. But now we need to merge these two sides so we don't get a big cut down the middle of our character. So we can merge by increasing the number here. I'm just going to choose 0.1, that should be big enough, and there we've now glued up both sides. And I can go back to edit mode, and I'm going to just make a really simple character. I'll start by expanding the hip area. We'll bring this down, make a thigh, some knees, another part of the bottom of the legs, the ankle, and we'll pull the feet out. And then we can make our torso. This is a very simple character. Making the shoulders. Really good to have a T-pose so that when we go to rig our character, we're not going to get any confusion. Okay, there's some really simple hands. And we'll come up here, and I want to make a smaller neck, so I'm going to put a loop cut in this edge. So I'm going to use my edge selector and go to loop cuts, and I'll place a smaller polygon section here. Let's come up and keep extruding out to make our neck, our bottom head, top head, and back of the head. Now ideally you're going to spend a lot more time doing this, and in sculpting you'll probably spend more time as well. So I think I want to put a loop cut over here. And that will allow me just to get a bit more detail on this part of the head. I might put a few more loop cuts over here. So edge, loop cut. is my nose area. I might just grab this vertex here, pull it out, push this one in. Looks like we need another loop cut just under here to make our character have a proper chin. Edge, loop cut. Okay, they're the basic planes of the face. The top of the head looks a bit strange, so I'm just going to push this in, round it off. Same with the back. And when we go to subdivision surface, we should get a nice look and feel to the top of our head. That neck needs to also have a bit of fixing up, so I might just come and loop cut that. Edge, loop cut. And then I'll shrink this down. Oh. These feet are a bit ridiculously long, okay. So that's the basics of our character all fleshed out. Now what I'm going to do is, in order to further work on this character, we need to apply our mirror modifier so that this other side, the left hand side, become actual vertices in the real world. At the moment they're virtualized, so I need to come over and making sure I'm in object mode, and then I'm going to hit apply. So now if I go back to edit, you'll see the other side, the left hand side, now has all of the vertices and triangles that make up the character. Now I can go back to object mode and apply my subdivision surface modifier. And depending on how powerful your computer is, how much memory you have, you should be able to crank that up to at least 2, depending on what sort of look and feel you want. And then don't forget to apply that. And then now I can go to my sculpt mode, making sure my symmetry is on. I'm going to have symmetry in the y-axis. And then this will allow me just to add a few more details to the character. If you hold down the Control or Command button, it will make an inverse selection. I'm going to make sure we've got grab. Okay, so there's just a really basic face. And what we need to do now is let's start to colour in and paint our character. But before we do any painting, we need to explain to Blender how our 3D shape looks in 2D. And if you remember back in maths, that means we have to apply a net. So make sure we're in edit mode. And then I'm going to push A, and I'm just going to use the basic automatic UVing. But sometimes doesn't always work, and you need to manually adjust your UVs, especially if you've got a more complex shape. So I'm going to go up to UV, making sure I'm in edit mode. UV, Smart Project. I'm going to go leave all the defaults. You probably want to have more faces in your face area, wherever there's more complexity. Okay, now that we've done that, I'm going to choose the UV editing window, and you should see Blender did a pretty good job of cutting out my shape from 3D to make our 2D seams, to make our 2D islands. And because it's done that, we should be ready to paint. So I'm going to go into texture paint mode. You'll see it's come up as magenta. That means there's no material. So up in the texture slots, I'm going to choose a material, base color, go add, and then now I can start painting my characters' colors. So I need to choose the right slot to paint the color in. Okay, so there's our nude skin color, and then I'll start painting some trousers, some jeans maybe. Some really low riders here. Turn the character around. You can vary the shininess and the metallicness of the texture. You do that in the materials down here. So you see there's material, metallic and roughness. Might make these jeans a bit rough. This will apply to the whole model. So if you want to use different materials, you can create new materials and paint them on. And then I'm going to give this character a bit of a singlet. Come around. Looks like a halter neck at the moment, so come up with the shoulder straps. Okay, and then let's paint in some eyeballs. You can change the size of the brush with the left and right brackets. I have no idea who this character is. It's just whatever has come up today. Okay, now that we've done that, what we're going to do is we need to save our texture. And if you miss this step, it won't work properly. So we need to make sure we go onto the left hand side, go to your UV window, and then what we're going to do is make sure you save this texture image. So I'm going to save this as dude texture. Make sure I save that in my documents, dude texture. And then what you have to do is make sure you go up to File, Save As, and save the whole Blender file. So I'm going to go to my documents again and save this as dude Blender. So it's saved as dude. And then what we need to do is we need to export this as an FBX, but there's a few settings we need to make. So I'm going to go to FBX. Okay, so you must save the Blender file first. Then you save the texture. Then we go to export as dude FBX. And then what I'm going to do is come into our path mode and see where it says auto. I'm going to choose copy. And then there's a little button here that says embed textures. If you don't do this, then when you go to mixer mode, it won't pick up the character. So I'm going to click on embed textures, and that way I can choose export FBX. So I'm going to click export FBX. It's living in my documents, and there it is. And in the next video, I'm going to upload this dude to Mixamo, and then we can send it in to do the animation.